Hey everybody, in my last video I kinda made a bold statement. I can make better arcade physics than some of these arcade races that are out there today, which are really well made and cool and cute looking, but fall a bit short on the handling front in my opinion. Well, bit of a bold claim. I thought, well, can I actually do that? Well, of course, I've been doing those things on and off for fun for a long time. And I always had vehicles with four-wheel drive, a bit easier, some anti-lock brakes, traction control, that sort of thing. And you can get a reasonably handling arcade-ish experience in Automobilista 1, a hardcore simulator. But after the bold claim was made, I sort of went to, well, do a lot of things except go to bed. So I stayed up until like 3 a.m. tweaking, figuring, it's a bit weird using all these driving aids. A simple arcade game, I feel shouldn't require them. The handling model should be so basic that it handles nicely by itself. So I went to tweaking, and I think the physics engine is very angry at me for the things I did to it. Weird numbers, weird curves, and well, something came out. I quite enjoy it, so I figured let's make a little video about what I've cooked up in 1.5 days. And eventually though, I do want to release something so the 4 people who are interested can actually give it a go. I mentioned control in the last video, and here, of course, being the throttle person, there is control. So you can do a constant speed, accelerate really slowly, engine brake really slowly, accelerate faster, engine brake faster. You would have nice analog control over the trigger, which is not that important because we're going fast all the time. But still, control is important. And I'm steering fairly smoothly here, but you can also just tap it. It's fairly responsive, and the line is quite controllable. What makes a game fun to me is where a driving game, the steering isn't always used to go left or right by pointing the steering left or right. When you start racing at the limit of a racing car, and even in an arcade game, it would be nice if there were a few more things happening. So here, if we brake into the turn, we get some oversteer, which is really quite nice. And sometimes the throttle can also just about sustain a little bit of cornering. You have to be on the throttle and with the steering, but it's a bit understeery still. So entry is cool and you get sort of a neutral exit, but the throttle plays a role in the cornering as well. And I find it a lot more engaging, and I've got have a lot of fun with this. And you can see I'm doing a talk and drive and being pretty good with my lines. Getting the apexes pretty well. So I spent a long time tweaking the tire curves, the slip curves, and also look at the combined forces a little bit. What would be stable off center? Yeah, it's sort of drifty and slidey mid-corner and on exit. The thing I was missing in some of the other games is that level of control, also that adjustability of the car. And here I find I never take the turns the same way, just like in a simulator really. But I'm talking and I'm just giving sort of binary inputs and I'm sliding a Formula 1 car around. It's very sort of non-simulation handling, but the fun elements are in there. If you brake too late, you can just keep braking and turn in and you will probably make the corner, but you would have slowed down and your lap time will be pretty bad. But there is a safety net if you brake too late. See, like there, I still make it, but I sort of stop. So if you make a mistake, it's just a few tenths or half a second. And there I was too late as well, but with a bit of braking I still made the turn. And it was sort of a last minute decision. It's really adjustable because everybody makes mistakes, and it's fun to drive around them and control your mistakes and turn the thing around into making the corner. So I quite like taking these corners smoothly. The input lag is really low, so the dead zone I set just at like 10%, which is the point where my very old gamepad kind of it needs that in order to not drift off center. There's minimal dead zone. So that was a bit too much braking. I can carry a bit more speed in there, I think. Manual shifting in a game like this makes sense to me, because that's something you can do just as well on a gamepad as with a steering wheel. And the engine has a torque band, so you have to be in the right at the right revs. I find that is a sort of a simple thing to add to the challenge a little bit, the gameplay, the fun, and see how easy it is to take that line smoothly. Again, I can also tap it, so let's do that here. It's a pretty poor line there. So the fact that there is no input lag and no sort of slow ramp up of the steering, that actually makes that possible, because you get feedback of the steering input that you've given. So you just nudge the stick a little bit. Oh. And instantly you see the car turn a little bit, so you don't get like a laggy overreaction and then you correct that and then you sort of struggle to make the turn. It's fairly easy to do. Most of the magic, so to speak, is in the tires. You see it, how nice that, well, in my eyes, oh, that's not nice at all, bad line. But you see, it's just, I've never taken the same line, and I've only been off the track, I was about to say twice, but I just about saved it. To get that nice drifty feeling. And I've got a reasonable idea of how to do this now, this style. And we can also make it more slidey and that sort of stuff. It is rear wheel drive, as I mentioned, which is, again, I like that because previously I couldn't do it. It was too oversteery and too hard to control, but now with these weird tires it works well. I hope that means if we do like a little Toka car thing with front wheel drive, that there will be a hint of front wheel driveness in those vehicles, and if we do a rally car with four-wheel drive, it will just have a little bit different handling, I hope. Not tried those yet, but I've had this car be more tight and also more slidey. And of course this is a sim track, relatively narrow for an arcade game, but I can be so accurate, and this is a 10-year-old gamepad and I never really use a gamepad. I've never had a PlayStation or Xbox. And I do play driving games every now and then with the gamepad, but I don't think I'm especially good with it. So we're on a kart track now. It struggles a little bit. This is the tightness of these turns is just insane. You can see I'm just chucking it, sliding it. Needs a little bit more steering, but you can see it's adjustable, it's controllable, and with a tiny bit more steering I would be consistent-ish here as well. So that huge difference in Formula Legends at the tighter tracks and the wider tracks doesn't really have to exist here, I think. It's all tire physics magic, and I think using a simulator, as dumb as it sounds, it has fluid weight transfer. There isn't a lot of it here actually, but it's fluent weight transfer. That the tire physics are silly for an arcade game, but it does smooth slip curves, force combining, and I think it might contribute, as well as the throttle model, to that smooth operator really. Actually, podium for the smooth operator, that's pretty nice, isn't it? So there is a fluidity in the movement and in the controls that, where a lot of these arcade games are a bit wooden, and I've never played Daytona USA or others. So I don't really know what they drive like. I only know the handling that I enjoy, and that is more like this. Drifting to the outside nicely. So that's also a thing, the elevation changes, because these are physics. Oh, that's a turn. But the smoothness of the rotation and the handling Could also be seen on things like elevation changes and going over the crest on the final turn. That feeling of the car going a little bit wider. It's not about realism, it's about being in control and it looking believable and cool. And I'd say it does that. You see, I'm not always giving that many steering inputs because the car, once you're turning on the throttle, has sort of a tendency, flat out, nice, to keep taking the turn. Yet it does not have the tendency, I find, to oversteer. So much like sim racing and the enjoyable... Oh, is that too late? Oh no, it was too early. The enjoyable part is, if you're doing it well, you do a lot of turning and cornering by the brakes and the throttle. I went flat out, but I also lifted a little bit, chickened out, because lifting tucks the car in nicely and you still make the turn. A bit too wild. But you see, my lap isn't destroyed, I'm not spinning or anything. Oh. Nice. Pretty good lap. Throw rotten fruit at me in the comments by saying me what is wrong with this. And I will try to upload something like this in coming weeks, I don't know. I have this sort of arcade fire in me, but it might not last, I don't know. I do want other people to give it a go, so I hope to put something together at some point. But I also kind of like the idea of having a rally car or a front-wheel drive car, see how they feel. Because again, arcade is not about realism, but it's about fun and control and adjusting the car. And well, with a gamepad like this, I hope this video looked like nicely controllable, fun type handling with a bit more adjustability than and sort of fluidity than you've seen on some other sims. But maybe not, and that's what the comment section is for, so give it to me in the comments. Alright, bye bye.